Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by the wonderful, the superb, the ever-lovely Jim.
Let's go.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Clearly, we've been joined by Mario's brother, Barrier.
It's Luigi.
Luigi, that's a lot better than the rubbish I came up with. It's the first recording I've done since coming back home. Anyway, yes, we're here to talk even more about Mario and Luigi Brothership. Yes, we've already done a typical sort of we've played thing that was written by Jim, but now we've got the opportunity to talk about it even more. Don't ask us how it works. This is just the way it goes. But yeah. So whereas Jim only played, you played, I believe it was 2 islands before.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep. I have played many more. I've played about 4 or 5 hours of the game, and so we're going to talk about our experiences. So, Jim, for anyone who didn't see your lovely preview, give us a rundown of your opinions of the game.
I had such a fantastic time with Mario and Luigi Brothership. I can't believe that we're getting to talk about it now. I've been just bottling up all my excitement ever since I played. I love the Mario RPG series. I fell off a little bit, the Mario and Luigi RPG series, I should add. I fell off a little bit with some of the 3DS remakes, but in the GBA, on the DS, absolutely loved them. So I was so excited to get down and play a brand new entry in this series, and it's really good. It's full of fun, and it's weird, but also it's weird. I had the best time. It looks great and it ran great for me, and I was chuckling away even as it took me a bit of time to get back into the whole button press gimmick. I'm sorry, Luigi, you got hit far too many times in my early days.
That's tripped me up a few times where you've got to like select your attacks with Luigi with A, and then your first move you've got to press B. It's like but that's not the button I was pressing.
Too many times. I'm sorry, my boy. You've been hurt too many times on my watch.
I can't lie though. I'm going to get into more details later, but just because you've said that, sometimes when an enemy's like really low health, there's only one left, I will intentionally fail the button presses because the animations are incredible.
Just so that you can go out on a whimper.
It's one of the few times where I've wanted to actively fail something.
It's one of those games, and you know, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in a bit, but it's so charming, particularly in those animations. I just loved, despite the fact that the bros don't dance quite as much as they used to on the GBA, which is a shame. In battles, they're not always really aggressively dancing, which, like I say, gutting. But all those animations are so charming. It's just such a bright and vibrant world, and I'm so excited to see more of it. I can't believe you've seen more. So tell me, what have you seen? These islands that you've encountered so far, what's it been like?
Well, I mean, to give you sort of like the overall feeling I've got about the game, I really like it. It is full of charm. The animations are to die for, but I can't deny that I do have some slight annoyances with it, unfortunately, which may not have been immediately apparent in a shorter preview, and there's a lot of dialogue, like an awful lot of dialogue, which I know is definitely not new to the Mario and Luigi series, but it sort of feels like it's slowing me down and getting in the way. There's also quite a bit of hand-holding I found. Like, to begin with, I first started the game and it was very much not hand-holding, and I was like, oh great, I can just go through at my own pace, I like this, you know. And then, you know, sort of after about another half an hour, suddenly it starts explaining every little thing to me, and you know, those are minor grievances. Overall, I've been really, really enjoying my time, and I can't get enough of Mario and Luigi's interactions together. The Mario, Luigi? I think Kevin Afghani's doing a fantastic job in this, by the way.
I thought exactly that. It was starting up this game. I know Mario Wonder, despite the fact it was only a year ago, it feels like it's been a long year since, and the Mario games that we've had since, like Luigi's Mansion, was obviously not Kevin Afghani. That was reusing Charles Martinet. So it's really nice to hear him get to do some expression and to get to do something a bit new. It seems like a really fitting series for him to take his, I guess, second step into.
Yeah, it was really interesting and also really reassuring, because I also played quite a few of the Mario and Luigi games growing up. Well, I say growing up as a teenager. And one of the things that always really appealed to me for some reason is just when Mario and Luigi like go up to each other and go or stuff like that, you know, the nonsense language they say within their own sort of like accent. And that's been they've evolved upon that here as well. And I think Kevin's doing a really, really good job with that. He's definitely not a complete dead ringer for Charles Martinet, but he's definitely he's doing his own thing at the same time, which I think is probably the better way to go.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pleased to see it go that way. It's one of those voices. Mario and Luigi have those voices where you feel like if they wanted to get a one-to-one, you know, a dead ringer, as you say, they could have found one quite easily. Like a lot of people out there, I assume a lot of VAs particularly, have got a Mario in their back pocket. So it's nice to hear a slightly different Mario and Luigi. I think it sounds great.
So earlier on, Jim, you said that the game ran perfectly smoothly for you, or you said it ran very well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There were some sections, particularly where my field of view got quite a lot bigger for a moment, where things slowed down a little. But no, I had no problems at all in the amount that I saw. The way that you asked that question implies you might have seen otherwise.
I don't know whether this is because of my the fact that I work with video. I do a lot of recording. I do analysis on this sort of thing, but there's a lot of micro stutters actually in the game. I don't know whether it's a frame pacing thing necessarily, because I don't have the means to capture lossless footage. But yeah, there's a lot of sort of like little tiny little peaks of hitches every so on, the occasional dropped frame here and there, and it doesn't really affect enjoyment, but I had hoped sort of this close towards the end of the Switch's life that they would have nailed this sort of thing down. Of course, it depends on who's developing and things like that, but considering it is a Nintendo product, the expectations are higher, and also given the simplicity of the game, I would kind of expect a near flawless 30 frames a second. I am nitpicking, but again, it's a Nintendo product. My expectations are a lot higher.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I think that perhaps coming off the back of something like Echoes of Wisdom, it looked really nice and smooth to me, pretty consistently. But
yeah,
you know,
that's
it's
true.
Not.
Yeah.
I don't do the analysis that you do. What I can say is that it really didn't bother me in the time that I played it.
Did you manage to get a chance to do any of the boss fights out of interest?
No, I didn't.
Ooh.
I was told that there were some, but please tell me more about them. They sound great.
They are pretty good, yeah. Not hugely, I want to say not hugely challenging, but that's kind of the game overall so far for me. I would have maybe liked a hard mode, but, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, the boss fights are really they're quite fun. I wouldn't say my main frame of reference is Partners in Time. That's definitely the one that I played the most. And all I can remember about Partners of Time is the final boss is basically borderline impossible. So this was far more manageable comparatively. But I thought they were really good fun. I really like, more than anything, what makes them unique is the dodging that you need to do. And learning that stuff on the fly, and then suddenly the boss will change it up a bit. You know, like I was doing this one where it had this tentacle that sort of sweeps across, and you're constantly trying to sort of work out what it is you need to do and when. It's really good fun, and that is reasonably challenging at times. Then when you learn it, and you can learn it fairly quickly, it becomes a lot more straightforward. But yeah, it's a really rewarding experience to be able to learn that quick, you know, sort of that quickly and on the fly within a boss battle. And also, something you probably wouldn't be aware of is that during boss battles, you're aware of Luigi logic. I'm taking
the Luigi logic. I loved a bit of that. I love seeing Luigi coming up with ideas.
It was a really nice way to give Luigi a little bit more to do, because you are primarily controlling Mario, and it comes in boss battles as well. occasionally something will happen. Luigi will stop and he'll look over and he'll go, and he'll start poking the side of his head and he'll come up with an idea, and then you've got to select that as a specific move. And it's essentially a way to... The game described it as doing massive damage. I haven't had that yet. All it does is like incapacitates the enemy, allowing you to do like loads of attacks one after the other and get criticals. So in a roundabout way, you're doing massive damage. But yeah, it's... The way it described it wasn't, or at least the way that I read it, wasn't as clear as I thought, but it's really cool to be able to do like a quote-unquote super move, especially considering I've only unlocked 2 bros attacks.
I really liked these bros attacks. The series has dabbled in the past with giving the brothers, stuff to do together in battle. Regularly there are timed combos that you're flicking things between the two. But these like big special point consuming combos, they felt really nice to pull off.
Yeah, I entirely agree. That essentially, I think mechanically they're the same. Like I remember the red and green shell from previous games, and I think I think they are essentially the same. But the actual end, the cinematics of it makes it feel so much more substantial and really good fun to do. I actually find myself using them surprisingly less often because I'm like, they're so special, I have to save them for when I really need them, which is silly. But they are great, yeah. I really, really enjoy the bros attacks. How did you feel about the window on the button presses? Because I felt it was really very generous most of the time.
Like I say, Luigi took a lot of damage at the start, but I think once I got my eye into these things, no, I agree. I think it's quite generous, but honestly, that works for me. I don't necessarily want timed button inputs, particularly when they're happening as regularly as they do in Brothership. I don't want them to be something that's really hard to hit. I'm very happy to have a good bit of leeway on it.
Yeah, I think the whole sort of like getting an excellent is very straightforward and very easy, but and I don't know this, I've not reasonably been able to test it. I need to see it like, confirmed in-game or something like that. But I think there's like sort of like a bell curve for how much damage you can do within that timing window. So the closer to like the sparkle, where it goes like bing, like I think the closer you can get to that, the more damage you do. Again, I can't say for absolute certain. There is also an element of randomness in the game. I quite like that. It's a way of rewarding really good play without like essentially punishing just like a tiny little bit of delay, sort of, or maybe your thumb was a bit slippery or something like that. So yeah, I at first I was like, this is a bit easy, but if it is what I think it is, I'm all for it.
Yeah, completely. I don't want to be getting frustrated by a lovely little game like this.
Did you manage to do anything on Shipshape Island, out of interest?
Here's the thing. So because my preview was timed, obviously, I was so keen to see as much as I possibly could. So Shipshape Island is something that kind of got a little bit pushed to the side. I ran around, I gave it a swift tour before I set off to one of the main islands that was the objective of that part of the preview. But I didn't get to spend as much time there as I would have liked. So remind me, this is effectively like hub world, right? This is where you launch off into your other adventures.
Yeah. Shipshape is the hub island, although it's also a ship. It's all, I wouldn't even say complicated. It's a fantasy game. Just accept it. And I really like it. It's nice because it starts off and it's like, oh god, this is really big. It's a little bit cumbersome to get around and do the things you need to do. But then the more you progress, the more things actually become straightforward. Like one thing is, as you like connect up different islands, you will get more and more inhabitants on Shipshape. And things start coming over from the other islands. And one of them is, on one of the islands, you get these like big bouncy flowers that you jump on and you go whee, and you do like a sort of a pirouette type thing and you slowly float down. Very classic Mario. I'm fairly certain that's been in previous Mario and Luigi games as well. And suddenly, some of those pop up on Shipshape Island, and you sort of think, okay, well, what's that useful for? And basically, it allows you a kind of a shortcut. They don't actually behave as they did on the original island, which is weird, but you jump on them and suddenly you can move really far, really quickly. And so you can just quickly nip to the cannon far more quickly than you could before, which is really handy when suddenly it comes up and says, oh, there's a new reef nearby. And you really want to see the reef because it's usually fun. Did you encounter any reefs out of interest?
Reefs are the, like, slipstream, right? That you can
No.
go into and go and find new islands, is that right?
Those are currents.
Oh, I don't know my nautical terminology. No, go on then. What are reefs? I don't think I did see any of them.
It's within the game. The literal definition may not be this strict, but within the game, reef is essentially a rocky outcrop of note. So it could be an interesting shape. It's always an interesting shape thus far. And there's actually been references to previous Mario and Luigi games using those reefs. So I don't know the name of him, but you know the cube guy with the moustache who's a big deal in, was it Dream Team or something? I can't remember, but there was a cube man.
Yes. Oh, what was his name?
We're real Nintendo fans. One moment, please. Brock Monsieur. Yeah, okay. Bowser's Inside Story is one of the few I haven't played, and I really want to because apparently it's the best, but I have never been able to. Either way, there is like a reef that's just shaped like him, which is just... It's just fun. It's sort of like, oh, even I recognized it having not played the game, which was really cool.
Yeah, this is great. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the whole thing is just so full of charm. I was just smiling the entire time that I was playing the game.
I will say that some of the minor NPCs aren't super interesting sometimes. They can be a little bit sort of just straight-laced and, oh, I'm here to help and I'll do this. Like one of the main NPCs, Connie, she's fine, she's cute enough, but she doesn't have a huge amount of personality, at least in what I've experienced so far. So, you know, but that may change. I don't know. I think I'm reasonably early in the game. I don't know, and I'm not sure I could reasonably make a guess as to how far I am, which I've just done anyway, so take that for what it's worth. But either way, overall, I'm really happy with the game. I have some few little things that I'm a little bit sort of held up on, things like the hand-holding and the sheer amount of dialogue that feels like it could be trimmed down quite considerably. But overall, yeah, I really like this game.
I totally agree, except I am even less hesitant than you are. I had such a wonderful time in my admittedly quite brief time with it. So, you know, perhaps I haven't hit any of those stumbling blocks that you've got yet. I had such a great time with it. It felt like a classic Mario and Luigi RPG in just the best possible way. Anyone who had had a good time with the previous ones, which I checked as I was writing our preview, it's been 9 years since our last original entry in this series. We've obviously had the remakes since.
Yeah, they did quite a few, didn't they?
9 years. Yeah. We got two remakes, I think, on 3DS.
Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s birthday minions or something.
That's the one. Bowser's birthing minions. We can get rid of that.
I said birthday.
I know what I heard.
Well, there you have it. That's a further look at Mario and Luigi Brothership before it's released. Keep an eye out for our review, which will be coming at some point in the future. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you... oh, look, look at the reef over there. It's a subscribe button. Go to it and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.